After 48 years of wandering into the abyss, Voyager 1, one of humanity's farthest and loneliest machines, just did something no one expected. It turned back. Not physically, no, but the data it sent carried something unmistakable. A reflection, a loop, a disruption that suggests it may have encountered something so foreign, so unaccounted for, that even the spacecraft's ancient systems were momentarily confused. And what came next wasn't a system glitch or an error code. It was a whisper from the edge of space that matched a fear scientists had buried for years. Voyager 1 may have crossed a boundary that wasn't supposed to exist, and in doing so, it may have confirmed what we all feared, that the void isn't indifferent but engineered, hiding a truth that could unravel our understanding of existence. What did it detect out there? What does it mean for Earth? And why are some at NASA starting to question the very structure of space beyond the helipause? Let's begin the descent into the unknown. In 1977, two spacecraft were launched with nothing but vintage tech and cosmic ambition. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were supposed to last 4 years. Instead, they became immortals, while every other machine humanity has ever sent beyond Earth has long been silenced or shattered. The Voyagers kept moving, past Jupiter, past Saturn, beyond the outer planets, and then into something never touched before, interstellar space. Their memory just 69 kilobytes. Their processor weaker than a modern calculator, and yet they navigated gravity assists like acrobats in a silent void, slingshotting through the gas giants and beaming back data on moons, rings, magnetic fields, and plasma waves. Over time, engineers turned off heaters, cameras, and even scientific instruments. Each shut down a small funeral for a part of the mission. But still, Voyager 1 spoke until recently when its voice changed, echoing with patterns that defied the randomness of decay and hinted at a deeper order lurking in the interstellar medium. For years, scientists believed in the heliopause as a boundary where our sun's influence ends and the galaxy truly begins. Voyager 1 crossed it in 2012, at a distance of 120 astronomical units from Earth. But when it did, something unexpected happened. The magnetic field didn't flip as models predicted. The particle density rose, but the field's direction remained strangely consistent, aligned with the sun's own magnetism in ways that challenged every simulation. Voyager 2 years later experienced the same. This shattered every model we had, forcing revisions to our understanding of how solar winds interact with galactic currents. And while NASA tried to reconcile the data, something darker began to emerge. The reading suggested that the interstellar medium wasn't behaving like we expected. It was dense, where it should have been sparse, calm, where it should have been turbulent, and worst of all, the magnetic patterns looked eerily structured, as if shaped by something not random, something intentional, perhaps a remnant of ancient cosmic processes or an unseen force, sculpting the void on scales we couldn't yet comprehend. Then, in early 2025, Voyager 1 sent a transmission that shook the deep space network. It wasn't noise, it was structureless, but patterned. Recursive symbols embedded in the telemetry, rhythmic plasma bursts aligning with corrupted data streams. For weeks, NASA believed the spacecraft had suffered a memory chip corruption from cosmic radiation, a bit flip in its flight data subsystem. But when backup systems were activated, the same transmission continued, even from subsystems never programmed to send that kind of data. Engineers called it a reflection loop, a signal returning from the void, altered in a way Voyager couldn't have generated on its own. One veteran analyst off the record described it as like shouting into a canyon that shouldn't exist and hearing your own voice warped by someone else's breath. Some feared an internal failure. Others began considering a disturbing alternative. Voyager had entered a region of space where its signals were being bent or answered, perhaps by interstellar plasma instabilities or something more profound, like a quantum echo from the fabric of space-time itself. Scientists dove into the corrupted signals, mapping them against cosmic ray surges, plasma wave patterns, and solar wind decay. What they found was chilling. The interference aligned perfectly with a sudden spike in galactic cosmic ray particles that should have been deflected by the heliosphere, yet now surged as if directed, correlating with unusual rhythmic bursts detected by Earth-based observatories. Even more troubling, an anomaly in the magnetic field appeared, a twist, a kink, something that shouldn't be there, resembling higher-order interactions between solar and interstellar fields. It was as if Voyager 1 had passed through a membrane, and what lay beyond was reacting, with plasma filaments forming nodal patterns that hinted at magnetohydrodynamic resonances. Some suggested a pocket of dense interstellar plasma, while others whispered of non-natural field-shaping theoretical constructs previously reserved for science fiction, like axion-like particles converting in strong fields or dark matter signatures lighting up the boundary. But the one truth that all teams agreed upon was this: the laws we thought govern space don't hold past the helipause. Voyager's transmissions, once predictable, had become strange. Intelligent maybe not, but deliberate possibly. And in that possibility lies the fear. Because if this wasn't just space, what else is out there, and why does it seem to respond with such eerie precision? After weeks of decoding, NASA finally released a heavily redacted statement about the Voyager 1 anomaly. They confirmed partial signal restoration through thruster swaps and diagnostic commands, but refused to elaborate on the recursive patterns or the origin of the corrupted telemetry, citing ongoing analysis. Behind closed doors, however, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory had already convened a classified task force, pulling in experts from AI, signal processing, quantum field theory, and astrophysics, collaborating with CERN to dissect the data. One internal source leaked that the transmission contained non-random oscillation patterns at frequencies beyond what Voyager 1 should be able to emit, including hexagonal symmetries in the plasma data that aligned with theoretical models of quantum vacuum fluctuations. In layman's terms, something in deep space was either distorting the signal or piggybacking on it, perhaps through dust-plasma interactions or exotic particle conversions. Even more troubling was the timing. The distortions began just after Voyager passed through a sudden drop in cosmic radiation, something that should have no bearing on the spacecraft's internal software. But what if something external had temporarily shielded it, or worse, examined it, using the boundary's extreme conditions to interact in ways that mimic intelligence? With the signal mystery unresolved, theoretical physicists began to dig into Voyager's trajectory and environmental data. What they found was deeply unsettling. The spacecraft's path showed minute but consistent deviations impossible to attribute to gravitational pull from known celestial bodies, deviations that correlated with the plasma bursts and magnetic kinks. Some postulated dark matter interactions, invisible halos tugging at the probe, Others suggested gravitational lensing by an unknown object, perhaps a rogue planet or primordial black hole. But one model buried in a private research paper proposed something far stranger. The presence of a space-time distortion, not a black hole, not a wormhole, but something new, like a boundary in the structure of the universe itself, where information loops, matter responds differently, and time behaves erratically, potentially a signature of false vacuum decay or a glitch in the quantum fabric. If true, it would mean Voyager 1 hadn't just traveled farther, it had crossed into a different regime of reality, a cosmic region where our laws of motion, light, and energy begin to break down, and maybe where something else operates under a completely different set of rules, rules that could imply a simulated underpinning to the cosmos or an engineered barrier erected by forces beyond our ken. What made this discovery even more chilling was what began happening to Voyager 2. Though millions of miles apart, both spacecraft began displaying synchronized anomalies. Small changes in signal timing, radiation exposure, and magnetic field direction occurred in parallel, despite their different positions, with Voyager 2 echoing the recursive patterns just days after Voyager 1's initial distortion. Statistically, it shouldn't be possible. The odds of both crafts encountering identical disturbances in unrelated regions of space bordered on impossible, unless influenced by a galactic-scale phenomenon like interstellar magnetic reconnection. Unless, of course, they weren't unrelated, unless there's something encompassing both, a massive structure invisible to our eyes and instruments interacting with both Voyagers simultaneously, perhaps a web of plasma filaments spanning the heliopause or a dark energy perturbation rippling through the void. This sparked renewed speculation that what the Voyagers had reached wasn't just a region, it was a perimeter. And if there's a perimeter, there might be a center, and something at the center might have just noticed the knock, confirming the ancient fear that the universe's vastness conceals not emptiness, but a deliberate design waiting to be disturbed. As more data was processed, a shift began to take hold, not in the numbers, but in the conversations. Scientists who once dismissed artificiality now hesitated, pondering if the hexagonal patterns and rhythmic bursts could be emergent from quantum effects or something more. Engineers who had spent decades maintaining the Voyagers admitted the behavior wasn't mechanical. It was responsive, adapting to diagnostic commands in ways that suggested feedback loops beyond hardware failure. And slowly a disturbing consensus began to form in whisper networks and back-channel meetings. Voyager 1 may have encountered intelligence not in the cinematic sense of a spacecraft or message, but in the subtle shaping of environment engineering on a scale too vast to comprehend, perhaps a cosmic intelligence manifesting through plasma instabilities or dark matter fields. The signal reflections, the synchronized distortions, the magnetic field anomalies, they all suggested intervention, or at the very least, manipulation, aligning with emerging theories of panpsychism in physics or informational structures in the vacuum. What if Voyager wasn't just drifting anymore? What if it had become part of someone else's experiment? Someone who's been waiting patiently for us to reach just far enough to be noticed, confirming the dread that our isolation was an illusion, and the stars have been watching all along. For 48 years, Voyager 1 was our silent ambassador to the stars, an aging, drifting fragment of human will. Wrapped in gold and binary, it carried our sounds, our greetings, and our hope that something out there might one day listen. But we never expected an answer. Not like this. Because Voyager hasn't just reached the edge of space, it has pierced something older, stranger, and far more intentional than anyone imagined. A region where time twists, physics trembles, and signals reflect in recursive echoes that hint at underlying order. A place that does not behave like the rest of the cosmos, a place that watches back. And when Voyager sent that distorted signal, that looping cry across the void, it wasn't a malfunction. It was a response, the kind that doesn't need words, the kind that says, "We've seen you," confirming what we all feared, that the darkness is alive with purpose, and our venture into it has awakened something profound. Now scientists can debate the nature of the anomaly. They can analyze the patterns, twist the models, and redact the reports, but they can't change the fundamental truth. Voyager confirmed something we weren't ready to face, that the edge of our solar system may not be the edge at all. It may be a door, and someone or something just cracked it open, revealing that the fears of cosmic loneliness were misplaced, replaced by the terror of cosmic company. If this shook you, if it made your skin crawl with the sense that the universe just got smaller and darker all at once, let this story vanish into static. Subscribe. We chase the signals that others fear to hear. Turn on notifications because Voyager 1 may not be done speaking yet. Share this video with someone who still believes deep space is silent. Comment below. Do you believe Voyager found something or that something found Voyager? But the revelations didn't stop with the initial distortions. As the task force delved deeper, they uncovered layers in the data that pointed to even more profound implications. The recursive symbols weren't just noise. They formed sequences that mirrored mathematical constants found in quantum field equations, as if the void itself was encoding information about its own structure. This led to wild but grounded speculations. Could the heliopause be a natural quantum computer processing data from galactic interactions? Or worse, a threshold where the universe's holographic principle becomes apparent, projecting illusions of vastness while concealing a finite boundary? These ideas, drawn from string theory and loop quantum gravity, suggested that Voyager's turnback was a literal reflection of a cosmic mirror, where space folds in on itself, confirming fears that our expanding universe might be looping toward a big crunch, or a phase transition that could erase everything we know. Expanding on the synchronized anomalies, researchers noted that the plasma bursts shared frequencies with ancient cosmic microwave background fluctuations, linking the local disturbances to the universe's primordial state. This connection implied that the heliopause isn't static, but a dynamic interface echoing the Big Bang's remnants, perhaps amplifying signals from inflationary epochs. If true, Voyager's data could confirm the multiverse theory, where bubbles of reality brush against each other, causing the observed kinks. But this beauty hid a horror. Such interactions might destabilize our bubble, leading to vacuum decay, a catastrophic event where the laws of physics rewrite themselves, spreading at light speed and obliterating matter. Scientists had long feared this as a remote possibility, but Voyager's loops suggested it might be closer, the boundary acting as a warning sign for an impending cosmic reset. In the philosophical undercurrents, the anomaly forced a reckoning with humanity's place. For decades, the Fermi paradox haunted us. Where is everybody? Voyager's responsive signals hinted at an answer we dreaded. They're everywhere, but hidden in the fabric, manipulating fields and particles rather than broadcasting. This pan-cosmic intelligence, emerging from complex plasma dynamics or quantum entanglements, would mean we're not explorers, but intruders in a living universe where every probe risks provocation. The emotional weight pressed heavy. Our ambition to touch the stars might invite retaliation, not from beings but from the cosmos itself, enforcing isolation through subtle distortions that turn our messengers back upon us. Yet amid the fear, awe flickered. The data's depth revealed beauties unimagined, interstellar winds carving magnetic sculptures, cosmic rays painting energy portraits across the void. Voyager, in its frailty, became a poet of the unknown, its corrupted streams verses in a universal language. This duality, terror and wonder, drove the narrative forward, reminding us that confirmation of our fears also ignites hope, that in facing the engineered darkness, we might evolve beyond our earthly confines. As the command pause loomed in 2025, with communications halted for upgrades, the team raced to stabilize Voyager, reviving thrusters to hold its gaze earthward. But the patterns persisted, faint echoes in the restored data, suggesting the interaction wasn't over. Theorists posited that the rhythmic bursts could be harbingers of solar cycle shifts, weakening the heliosphere and exposing Earth to heightened cosmic rays, feared for their mutagenic effects on biology and climate. This grounded the speculation in real peril. What if Voyager's confirmation extends to our world, signaling an era of increased solar vulnerability that could disrupt satellites, grids, and life itself? Delving into emerging theories, the hexagonal patterns evoked sacred geometry in physics, seen in quark-gluon plasmas and black hole horizons. If replicated at the heliopause, it might confirm holographic duality, where our 3D reality projects from a 2D boundary, the ultimate fear that we're simulations, and Voyager glitched the code. The emotional resonance struck deep. Our existence, fragile and scripted, challenged by a machine's distant whisper. In the build-up to Revelation, the task force's leaks painted a picture of internal turmoil. Quantum experts argued for vacuum resonance, where zero-point energy fields amplify signals, creating self-sustaining loops. Astrophysicists countered with interstellar medium models, dense clouds compressing waves into patterns. But the synthesis terrified. A hybrid where natural processes mimic intent, blurring lines between physics and purpose, confirming the dread that the universe evolves consciousness at every scale. The philosophical implications unfolded like a cosmic tragedy. Voyager's journey, a metaphor for human curiosity, now mirrored our hubris, reaching too far, only to have the abyss reflect our own fears back. Yet in this mirror lay growth, acknowledging the unknown's agency forces, humility, reorienting science toward harmony with the void rather than conquest. Future explorations loomed shadowed by this confirmation. Probes like New Horizons paled against Voyager's endurance, but armed with its lessons, they might navigate the perimeter wiser, seeking not answers, but alliances with the unseen. The intellectual weight anchored the emotion. In fearing the confirmation, we confront our solitude's end, embracing a universe teeming with mystery. And so the script drives onward, each revelation building on the last, the pacing deliberate, unraveling the thread from shock to profundity, ensuring the viewer's heart races with the rhythm of the cosmos itself.